Hi again, everyone. Gary Digital Williams here on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network. And, of course, the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network can always be heard on Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, on Podcast Addict. We're on Spotify, and we're on TuneIn. Also, you can hear us on YouTube. You can go to my Gary Digital Williams page on YouTube. You can also hear it on Twitter, where my handle is Digital25. And you can also hear it on the Boxing on Beltway podcast page on Facebook. So anywhere you go, you can hear the Boxing on Beltway podcast network. We're going to have a relatively short podcast this week in comparison to what we had the last couple weeks. And I thank you for allowing me to continue my tributes in some cases and also the tributes to the boxers of the past in the Beltway. We're going to have one of those this week as well. We're also going to talk about a very interesting situation that's developing right now in the Beltway, involving a interesting combination of boxers, and that could lead to a mega fight coming up in the not too distant future, hopefully. So we'll see what happens going forward on that. The Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network, brought to you as always by Real-Time Pain Relief, from boxers to ballerinas, for shoulder pain and muscle strain, everything between. Boxing on the Beltway recommends Real-Time Pain Relief, the natural, plant-based, safe, fast, and effective ointment. You go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real-Time Pain Relief. You get a free $10 tube of Real-Time Pain Relief, now endorsed by two-time heavyweight champion Big George Foreman. So try his knockout formula for Real-Time Pain Relief. Rub it on, the pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com. She has great weight loss tips on her site, as well as great training methods and great tips on weight loss situations. So let's go to Deborah, Debra Spears.com. Over the last few weeks, WBC featherweight champion and Beltway boxer Gary Russell Jr., Mr. Gary Russell Jr., has been, for lack of a better term, talking a lot of trash, in all honesty. He really has. And I don't know what's happening here, why it's taking place, but he's been calling out the likes of Leo Santa Cruz. He's been calling out fellow Beltway boxer and champion Gervonta Davis. He's already gone up to welterweight and challenged Terrence Bud Crawford, the champion there. But it looks like one may stick. We're hearing some word that one of the ones he's challenging may stick. And that's none other than the young man who's really a solid pro. He's actually fought here in the Beltway once. He fought here in a title bout from Las Vegas, Nevada, by way of San Francisco, California. His name, Devin the Dream Haney. And there is talk that Gary Russell Jr. will move up to lightweight and he will face Devin Haney. In fact, I've been seeing some reports that this is a done deal. And it's going to be interesting because, again, Gary Russell Jr. would have to go up 2 weight classes to face Haney. Haney's the WBC lightweight champion right now. 24-0, 15 KOs. Gary Russell Jr., 31-1, 18 KOs. And right now, I think Gary Russell Jr. is finding out that at the featherweight level, there are no more worlds to conquer. I mean, WBC champion, the WBC number 1 ranked featherweight is still the guy that Russell last beat in his last title defense, Tutscott King Tug Nyambayar. He's still number 1 there. And the rest of the guys in the featherweight ranking at WBC, in the WBC are guys that no one's ever heard of. So there's no money there, in all honesty. So right now, I think Russell, who just turned 32 years old a couple months ago, I think is really searching for the big bucks, which is probably why he's calling out the likes of Devin Haney, Gervonta Davis, Leo Santa Cruz, and Terrence Crawford. Now, he won't get either Davis or Cruz because Davis and Cruz are scheduled to face each other on October 24th in Las Vegas. Gervonta Davis defending his title, his WBA lightweight title, against Leo Santa Cruz. So those two are out. And I just personally believe, this is my personal opinion, that Terrence Crawford is just too big. I'm sorry. He's 147 pounds. He's built 147 pounds. And I just don't think that Russell's big enough for that. So the man in the middle, so to speak, would be Devin Haney. So they've been talking a lot of trash. And the word I'm hearing, and again, this is nothing official and no other mainstream boxing media, no boxing media whatsoever right now is putting it out. I'm just Facebook ramblings right now, and that Gary Russell Jr. will face Devin Haney at some point. Okay, and more than likely Russell will have to move up. Now, here's a scenario for you. Suppose Russell does take this bout. It's a done deal. And he accepts the bout within the next, say, week or so. That means it's a big bout that's coming up this Saturday that could mean a lot more in the next week than it does right now. Okay, as we move on to kind of repeat the schedule, because really nothing going on this week, but next week, big bout. We talked about it, and now everyone's reporting. DC Mike TV was the first I saw to report it, but it's totally official now that Hyattsville, Maryland featherweight Kobe the Soldier Breedy will take on King Tug Nyambayar of Los Angeles by way of Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. That'll be on Saturday, September 19th at the Mohegan Sun Casino in Uncasville, Connecticut. The bout's going to be shown on Showtime. So, say Russell decides to take this bout against Haney, and he decides to vacate, I should say, his WBC featherweight title. That would technically make the Breedy Nyambayar bout a bout for the vacated WBC featherweight championship, possibly. That's the scenario. Now, the weird part about that scenario, and I just checked the rankings before I went on air, Breedy is not ranked anywhere in the WBC right now. So, I don't know if that would happen. That's where the weirdness kind of comes in with this. Whether or not Breedy could actually compete for the WBC championship. He has the record. He's 15-0, 5 KOs. The Nyambayar 11-1, 9 KOs against that only loss to Gary Russell Jr. back in February 8th in Allentown, Pennsylvania. So whether or not that bout would actually be for the WBC featherweight title will remain to be seen. But it all will be contingent on whether or not Gary Russell Jr. decides to vacate his title. So I don't know. There's a lot of weird parts in this. And we'll keep you posted as they go along. But it looks like right now that Gary Russell Jr. will be facing Devin Haney sometime very, very soon in the latter part of this year. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So we talked about Breedy's bout on February 19th. That's Saturday. That's going to be on Showtime. And let's get a reminder that Yank Plana, the sexy Albanian middleweight out of Hagerstown, Maryland, he'll be in an 8-round bout against Maidel Sando, undefeated out of Nashville, Tennessee, by way of Las Tunas, Cuba. That'll be on Wednesday, September 23rd at the Microsoft Theater in Los Angeles, California. Bout's going to be shown on FS1. Plana's 8-1-1, 4 KOs. He's 3-0-1 in his last 4 bouts, while Sando's 9-0, 7 KOs, but he hasn't fought since March of 2019, and he's only fought 2 boxers going into this bout with an over 500 record. So it could be very interesting on that bout as well. And again, Kobe Breedy with a big bout coming up next week also. So that's basically the schedule for the next couple weeks. And then we have a couple bouts down in South Carolina, Dorian Bostic, as well as Dorian Bostic and another boxer from the Beltway also on that card in Rock Hill, South Carolina. So a lot going on there. I can't remember who the other boxer is. Pardon me, I'm sorry. So let's move on to our tribute. Our tribute this week is a boxer that kind of stretched a couple of errors for me. He just missed the boxing spotlight era. So he came along really primarily in the fight news era moving into the boxing along the Beltway era. And there weren't too many more exciting boxers than this guy. And he was a great guy. He's a great guy as well. But he had some outstanding bouts in his career. Just came a little short of becoming a world champion. He came very, very short. But during his time period, which lasted really only 8 years. He only had an 8-year pro career. But there was some excitement in that pro career. No question about that. Now, we're talking about a man by the name of Lamont Bay Pearson. Not to be confused with Lamont Peterson. This is Lamont Pearson. Came a little before Lamont Peterson. Lamont Pearson was a boxer that fought out of Capitol Heights, Maryland. And he was part of a group of boxers that were managed and promoted by Keystone Boxing. Now, you've heard me talk about Keystone Boxing for many years here on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network. Great promotion created by Gene Malavinsky and his son Ross Malavinsky. And they've done outstanding work primarily as promoters. They've promoted some of our greatest cards in our area and really helped a lot of our Beltway boxers advance to the next level, even when they didn't have them under contract. But prior to that, to them really getting going as promoters, they did handle a number of boxers in the area. If Daryl Coley was the leader of the hardcore, well, Lamont Pearson was leader of the Keystone Crew. He was the big boxer on the Keystone Crew. The other boxers in the Keystone Crew, boxers like Dell the Hatchet Matchett, you had Heru Superman Carter, Keith Harrison was a part of that group. They had some outstanding boxers. They just did not have long careers. I know Dell Matchett, who has done some commentary with me over the years. Dell Matchett had an injury, and that kept him out of. Actually, it was an illness that kept him away from boxing. I think he would have been a very good prospect, possibly a title contender as well. Heru Carter, Keith Harrison just didn't box very long. I know Keith Harrison is an outstanding trainer in the area now, but really, Lamont Bay Pearson was the mainstay of the Keystone boxing promotion at that time. And it was interesting. He had a great story because if we could have used the nickname of the Punching Postman, but I know Tony Thornton had taken that away. But Lamont Pearson was, at the time he was boxing here in the area, a mailman. He was a letter carrier here for the post office. So it was that story was always interesting. And Lamont Pearson was one of those boxers who was an outstanding amateur. He won a Golden Glove National Championship, one of our many that we've had here in the Beltway over the years. And in 1998, June 18, 1998, he made his pro debut against Latavius Whitehead in Alexandria, Virginia, and scored a first-round knockout. And he really went on to some great things. He won his next 3 bouts fighting in Glenard. Now, they have a town center in Glenard, Maryland, and that's where a number of his early bouts were. He scored a fourth-round unanimous decision over Fred Mutueta on September 16, 1998. He defeated Sean Lockhart in November of 1998 by second-round TKO. He won a second-round TKO over Anthony Postal in Glenarden on December 16, 1998. He had a little hiccup in his 6th-round debut, where he had a 6-round split decision draw against Anthony Washington. That was on February 5th, 1999 at the National Guard Army in Pikesville, Maryland. But he went on his winning ways. He would score big wins over the likes of Felix Marti in April of 1999 in Waldorf, Maryland. Made his first appearance at Michael State Avenue, Glen Burnie, Maryland in ballroom boxing. And he would win a 6-round unanimous decision over James Gonzalez on May 13th, 1999. He'd go on to win great bouts, and he finally had his first 10-rounder at Michael State Avenue on March 23rd, 2000. And he would take on Russell Stoner Jones and win a 10-round unanimous decision. And he would win great bouts against Jay Cantu, first-round knockout over Jay Cantu in June of 2000. In July of 2000 at Martin's Western Woodlawn, he won an 8-round unanimous decision over Darrell Pinckney. He won a 10-round bout at the Showplace Arena. This is I believe that was the in-your-face Showplace card they had there against Jose Alfonso Rodriguez. He won a 10-round unanimous decision. Then, on December 8th, 2000, Lamont Pearson would take his biggest step to date. He faced a former world title contender. I believe he might have been a world champion as well. I'm trying to remember. By the name of Harold Warren. Now, Harold Warren was up in age, but he still was a dangerous person. And Pearson would take on Warren for the vacant NABA Super Featherweight title. Bout was held at the Lincoln Theater in Washington, D.C. on December 8, 2000. I got to say this. It was one of the best bouts that I've ever called. I mean, it was. We did a video for it. I don't remember where the video went to. But we did a video, maybe for Keystone itself. This bout was incredible. Oh my goodness, it was back and forth. touch and go the whole way, and then finally Pearson knocked out Warren in the 12th and final round. It was a 12-round bout. And why it was a 12-round bout, I don't know. It was for the NABF Super Featherweight title, not for a world title, but it was 12 rounds. And Pearson knocked out Warren in the 12th round of that bout. The place went berserk that night. It was a great bout, and it really elevated Lamont Pearson. It made him a contender in the super featherweight rankings at the time. So great win for that. He come back and defeat Jesse Gutierrez for the defend his title on October 7, 2001 in Elgin, Illinois at the Grand Victoria Casino, and Pearson won a 6-round TKO. However, he lose a 10-round bout to Orlando Salido, world title contender, and he lose that bout on March 22nd, 2002 in Phoenix, Arizona. He'd come back to D.C. and fight at the then D.C. Tunnel in June of 2002, win a 3rd-round TKO over Freddie Cruz. He would beat Luis Alfonso Lizarraga and Michael J. Avenue in Glen Burnie, Maryland on September 26, 2002, when a 10-round unanimous decision. And that would set up Lamont Pearson's first and his only world title opportunity. He would take on a man by the name of Thera Phongwan, and he would have to go all the way to Bangkok, Thailand for this bout on December 5th, 2002, in a bout for the WBA Super Featherweight Championship. Unfortunately, Pearson would lose that bout by 9th round knockout in that contest. He just wasn't ready for that, no question. But, it was a tough loss for Lamont Pearson. On May 10, 2003, Pearson would win a 8-round unanimous decision over Isidro Tejedor. I believe he was the brother of Francisco Tejedor. And he would come back and try for the USBA Super Featherweight Championship, and he would lose by 7-round stoppage against Robbie Peden. I remember this bout. This bout was on television. He was on cable television. I remember this bout, and Pearson just couldn't finish at the 7th round. I think he had an injury, I believe, and lost the bout. That was on August 7, 2003. Pearson take a couple years off and come back on January 27, 2005. This is around the time that Boxing on the Beltway started covering him. I was already covering him for Fight News, but Boxing on the Beltway came in, and he defeat Ivan Alvarez at Michael J. Avenue, Glen Burnie, Maryland on January 27, 2005. He'd win an 8-round unanimous decision. And a big win for him at the Patriot Center, George Mason University, now the Eagle Bank Arena. This is a bout that took place on a big card. It was a card that featured Perry Ballard battling one Jimmy Lang, an outstanding bout there. The Battle of Virginia, they called it. And on the card, Lamont Pearson would win an outstanding bout. He was the best boxer on the card that night. He looked dominant in the 5th round knockout over Shamir Reyes. And Pearson looked like the Pearson who received the world title shot a few years ago before he had trouble with his hands. His hands gave him a lot of problems throughout his career. Pearson broke down Reyes in the bout gradually. By the 3rd round, Reyes offered no offense. And Pearson finally finished Reyes with a solid body shot in the 6th round. And Reyes could not be covered for the 10 bout. So he is really outstanding. And again, at that time, there were very few boxers as talented as Lamont Pearson when he was on throughout his career. He had an outstanding job. He come back and win an 8-round unanimous decision at Showplace Arena up in Marlboro, Maryland, against Pasquale Adorno. That was on November 26, 2005. And then his career would end in July 7, 2006, in a 9th round TKO loss to a future world champion by the name of Joel Casamayor. And that was a 9th round knockout, and that was the last bout for Lamont Pearson who ended his career. 23 wins, 4 losses, 1 draw, 12 knockouts. And every bout he lost, he would lose by, except for one, he would lose by knockout. But Lamont Pearson, when he was on, was one of the most exciting boxers I ever saw in the Beltway. Great guy, wonderful person, great interview as well. And I think he lives in Atlanta, Georgia. And he's outstanding person, no question about it. Wonderful person. And he had an outstanding career. It was fun to watch him. He really was. A lot of fun to watch Lamont Pearson perform there. So that's my tribute to Beltway boxer Lamont Bay Pearson. Outstanding boxer out of Capitol Heights, Maryland. And that will do it for another edition of Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network. Remember, the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network brought to you by Real-Time Pain Relief. You go to freepainoffer.com. Buy $10 worth of Real-Time Pain Relief. Get a free $10 tube of Real-Time Pain Relief, now endorsed by two-time World Heavyweight Champion George Foreman. So try his knockout formula for Real-Time Pain Relief. Rub it on. The pain is on in real time. And then go to DeborahSpears.com. Great weight loss tips, great jewelry, and great training methods at Deborah, Debra Spears.com. Thanks for joining, everybody. My name is Gary Digital Williams. Thank you all for joining. And always remember, keep supporting the best boxing in the world, the boxing along the Beltway. Thanks for listening, everyone. Take care.